A security guard humiliates a man at the entrance, unaware that he is the CEO of the company. A simple mistake reveals deep-seated biases that threaten to unravel everything. What unfolds next will shock even the most seasoned observers. But let's start at the beginning. Jamal Rivers, the CEO of a rapidly growing tech company, parks his car in front of the new office on a bright morning. Dressed casually in a simple shirt and jeans, he feels a wave of pride for all he has achieved as he strides toward the building. At the entrance, a burly security guard in uniform, Ron Miller, blocks his path with a suspicious glance. "Where are you going?" Ron demands curtly. "Good morning. I'm heading to my office," Jamal replies calmly, ignoring the hostile tone. "Your office?" Ron narrows his eyes. "Don't make me laugh. Got a pass?" Realizing he left his pass in the car, Jamal responds evenly. "I left it in my car, but I work here. If you call my assistant, this will all be cleared up." Ron smirks dismissively, ignoring the suggestion. "You think anyone can just walk in here? Leave before I call the cops." A few employees passing by begin to slow down, curious about the exchange. Jamal feels the heat rise to his face, but suppresses his irritation. "Listen," he says firmly, but without raising his voice. "I'm here to work. This is my company." "Your company?" Ron scoffs. "Do you know how many people like you I kick out every day?" An employee observing the situation hurries inside to alert someone from the management team. Meanwhile, the tension at the entrance escalates. A small crowd gathers, and some people begin recording the scene on their phones. Jamal steps back and calls his assistant. "Melissa, can you come to the entrance? There's been a misunderstanding." Minutes later, Melissa arrives, visibly alarmed. She scolds Ron. "Ron, what are you doing? This is Mr. Rivers, our CEO." Ron freezes for a moment before recovering. "Do you have proof? No pass, no entry." Melissa turns to Jamal, apologizing profusely. "I'll get someone from senior management." Jamal remains silent, standing firm while whispers ripple through the crowd. The situation feels all too familiar to him. Another reminder of how often appearances speak louder than achievements. As Jamal waits, the crowd thickens. Melissa soon returns with Eric Lawson, the company's deputy director, a confident middle-aged white man. Eric surveys the scene and addresses Ron. "What's going on here?" Ron, emboldened, replies, "This man tried to enter without a pass. I told him to leave." Jamal steps forward. "Eric, good to see you. Can you confirm who I am?" Eric hesitates, glancing at the growing crowd. His expression betrays a conflict between loyalty and self-preservation. "Ron's just doing his job," Eric finally says. "We have strict security policies. Without a pass, we follow procedure." Jamal's eyes narrow. "Procedure? Eric, I'm your boss. Isn't that enough?" Before Eric can respond, Ron interrupts. "Look, this isn't a debate. Leave or I'll call the police." The crowd murmurs, some voicing disapproval. Melissa steps in, raising her voice. "Ron, stop! Do you realize what you're doing? He is our CEO." Ron crosses his arms defiantly. "Then let him prove it." The tension spikes as Jamal's patience wears thin. He dials corporate security, but Ron sneers. "Oh, calling for help now? Maybe a buddy to get you out of here?" A collective gasp rises from the crowd. Jamal's expression hardens. "Enough," he says, his tone commanding silence. "You're not just disrespecting me, you're undermining the principles this company stands for." Melissa pulls Eric aside, whispering urgently. Eric turns sharply and finally addresses Ron. "Ron, stop. This is Mr. Rivers. Let him through." Ron's face reddens as he stammers an apology and steps aside. Jamal walks into the building without a word, pausing briefly at the door. "Today will be a day you'll remember," he says over his shoulder. Inside, Jamal strides through the office, employees casting uneasy glances his way. The tension is palpable. In a conference room, Melissa leads him to meet Sarah Hunter, the chief operating officer, who appears visibly distressed. "Mr. Rivers," she begins, "I just heard what happened. It's completely unacceptable. I apologize deeply." Jamal sits at the table, placing his phone down. Sarah, were you aware this kind of environment existed in our company? Sarah falters, her confidence shaken. No, sir, but maybe some employees are still adjusting to our inclusivity initiatives. We've been working on it. Working on it? Jamal raises an eyebrow. Ron's behavior, and Eric's hesitation, show me we've failed to enforce respect and equality. Eric enters the room, pale and visibly uneasy. Mr. Rivers, he begins, I owe you an apology. I should have stepped in immediately. But you didn't, Jamal replies coolly. Were you afraid to stand up for someone you assumed was beneath you? Eric looks down, unable to respond. Sarah interjects. We'll conduct an internal investigation and ensure accountability. This isn't just about punishment, Jamal counters. This is a cultural issue. If such assumptions go unchallenged, we've failed at our core values. The next morning, the entire company gathers in a large hall, the atmosphere charged with anticipation. Jamal takes the stage after Sarah outlines the previous day's events. Yesterday, I saw how fragile our values are, Jamal begins. We claim to champion equality and respect, yet these principles crumbled at the first test. He pauses, his gaze sweeping the room. Some employees look down, others nod in agreement. I'm not here to assign blame, he continues. I'm here to call for change, not because it's good for business, but because it's right. Respect for one another is the foundation of everything we do. Jamal announces a series of mandatory inclusivity training sessions and an anonymous platform for employees to share their experiences. To everyone's surprise, he invites Ron to speak. Ron steps forward, his voice shaky but sincere. Yesterday, I judged someone by their appearance. I was wrong. I'm grateful for the chance to learn and do better. Jamal closes the meeting with a powerful statement. Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is how we grow from them. Our actions must align with our values. Over the following weeks, the company sees a shift. Conversations about respect and equality become part of daily interactions. Even Ron begins greeting employees with a genuine smile. Jamal's confrontation at the entrance becomes a defining moment, a catalyst for meaningful change.